Hi guys, it's Kathy and I'm back with another process video for you today. Today I'm scrapping a photo of my family from a couple of years ago. Be my daughter's, she'd just be over a year old, and my son would have been about 4 years old. So this was actually a few years ago before my youngest was born, and that my husband is with them. My husband's name is Steve, so that means that I married a man named Steve Martin. Obviously not the rich comedian guy, but still a very funny guy. I'm going to be using that Pink Fresh Studio triangle paper that I think we got in a hip kit. I think it was throughout the summer, and I just kind of saved it. I loved so many colors, and it was so vibrant, and I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. But I knew I wanted to scrap something kind of sunny and light. And this is the second time I've ever scrapped this picture. The first time I did it, I did not like how it turned out. It was really not a layout I was happy with at all. So I got rid of it. And so this is my second scrapbooking of this photo, and I'm very happy with the way this one turned out. So I'm grabbing some old papers from Studio Calico kits that I used to get a couple of years ago, and a couple of papers from the 6x6 poolside collection because I thought the colors matched well, that yellow and the pink and the turquoise that was in there. And there was also a basic gray polka dot, and it was a really tiny, tiny polka dot, and I loved it. And that paper, that floral, is from Heidi Swapp. I think it was called September Skies. I'm not sure what it was called, but it was a Heidi Swapp paper from, I think, last autumn. So not this autumn that just passed. And just the colors, you know, I I just tend to mix and match all my papers and products. So this is a huge smattering of mixing and matching stuff that's from my stash, as well as new products that I got in kits. And I had this idea where I wanted to do like an 8x8 square, kind of a base of a dark color over top of that bright Pink Fresh Studio paper. So here I am measuring off an 8x8 square to place in the middle, and then I was going to do my photo on top and my clusters and everything on top of that. And it's like a dark, dark charcoal gray. There's actually some triangles in it that are that color. And I like it, and it's kind of cool, but I can't decide where I want to put it. I can't decide if I want to just do another layer in the dark color and then just layer the photo on top of the pattern paper. And I grabbed this other Pink Fresh Studio paper that just came in, I think it was the March hip kits. And I loved that triangle on the bottom. And I found that the Felicity collection really kind of coordinated quite well with the old collection. I think it was called Happy Things, something like that. I wasn't even paying attention to the branding strip when I cut it. And I'm deciding if I want to do some other kind of layer that's bright colors. And I guess I decided not to at the time. I do know that I go back and cut that bottom triangle out. Now I'm grabbing a piece of paper that's from, it's actually from a smash book. I used to have a bunch of those K & Company smash books, and I started them and then never finished them. And I didn't really like it. It was supposed to be this quick little thing that you were supposed to, just kind of smash things on, but the designer in me just took way too much time and concentration that I never finished them, and I don't want to finish them now. So I ripped all the pages out that I liked and kept them as paper that I could use. I just started doing Project Life. Like I'm only on I think the second week of January right now. So I decided to rip out those papers and just kind of keep them, and I could make journaling cards out of them or use them as layering pieces in scrapbooking. So I was deciding if I wanted to use one of them, and I decided I don't want to use one of them, but I do want to use this strip and just kind of use it on the bottom like that. And that looks really great, and I totally could have went with that, but I don't, and I decide on something else. So I'm off to find paint. And I don't normally paint on layouts because I don't have gesso. So because I don't have gesso, everything gets all warped and whatnot. But sometimes if I use just a little bit of acrylic paint, it's not too bad and it doesn't warp too much. And this time I went off camera and used my heat tool to dry it. So I was drying the back as well as the front, and that kind of helped it not warp too much. But I decided I'm going to do this big splotch of black, which I've done before on layouts. Um, and I love that brush look on both sides. There's just something really, really cool about that. So I had to make sure that that worked, and I really like it. So I go off, I think, now to dry it. There we go. It's dried. I'm not sure why everything's zoomed in. That's so strange. It might actually be an issue with my film, and I'm not sure if it corrects itself, and if not, I will probably fix that. So if you're wondering why I'm saying it's zoomed in and it's not zoomed in, it's because I went back and fixed it in iMovie, and now it's not zoomed in anymore. But I'm just kind of cutting that off so it's just on the bottom there. And I like that. And it covers that up, and I had it the wrong way. I wanted it to go that way with that Love It on the top, the pink Love It from the paper. So now when I've got this kind of busy pattern and things like that, I get really, really not sure what to do with embellishments. Because I'm a big embellisher, and you know, I'm kind of hard pressed at this point I want to use a ton of embellishments, but there's so much going on in the paper already. But I remembered this thing that I think it's Jen Show. Oh, I'm going to pronounce everyone's last names wrong. She did a stamping video, and she did this one thing where she did a big black, she painted a big black piece, and then she took stamps and kind of made it look like the stamps were growing, you know, almost organically out of this big black splotch. And I used to do stuff like that when I used to do digital art all the time. I'd have like a big black splotch, and then there'd be birds flying out of it, or branches or leaves or something. So I kind of got the idea to do what she did, and I'm using Stays On because it's the only black ink that I actually own. I have Martha Stewart ink, and it's really does not stamp well. And these are old Heidi Swap stamps. I am not a big stamper. I don't own a lot of stamps. I own some acrylic stamps and some wood stamps, but I hardly ever stamp. I think I more so use them. I buy them because I love the look of them, and then I never use them. So I'm just trying to get a good smattering of these. Smattering? I don't even know if that's a word. Of these stamps, and kind of lay them out so they look random, even though they're not random, because I'm definitely thinking about, you know, space between them and whatnot. So I think I decided to go back, and I close it up, but I think I do go back and stamp a few more things afterwards, once I kind of figure out if it's even. Now I'm just gonna prop that up on some foam. It's like a thin foam, so it's only kind of give a little bit of dimension, but that's enough to have stuff kind of sneak in underneath the layers. So yeah, so it's lined up pretty even. I don't tend to measure that stuff. I eyeball it all. So it's probably not completely even. Then I go back and I do a bit more stamping because I just want a little bit more going on around it. And yeah, I think I even think I go back further. This is a chipboard set of triangles and diamonds from a Studio Calico kit back when I used to get them. So that was several years ago. And I still have them, and some of the colors I will probably never use, but I've been wanting to use them up because I have so much older stuff in my stash, and I mean really old stuff, because I made a huge purchase one time back in about 2010, and I still have a lot of that stuff. I haven't used it. So trying to use up some older stuff. I like the 3, and I like the love, and these little pieces, and they don't sit right. They don't join right when you're trying to make a little pattern out of them. So I'm just kind of fiddling around with trying to make them kind of poke out naturally. And I used, I think that's from Dear Lizzie, the thing that says My Crew. It's one of her foam thicker sets. And then I decided I wanted to say hashtag My Crew, even though I'm not a big, uh, you know, hashtag kind of person. I'm a little bit older than that stuff. I feel sometimes like when I'm trying to do things like that, that I'm, the older people that are, they want you to come and fix their computer a million times in a year because they don't understand. I'm kind of feeling that way now. Like it's passing me by quicker than I can keep up. And I'm just looking at it going, oh, that new technology. Oh, it's so far beyond me. So definitely social media stuff is, some of it's far beyond me. I've just gotten into doing Instagram a lot more and even understanding what a hashtag is. Because to me, it's a number sign. It will always be a number sign. Um, so, and I have a Twitter account now, which is unusual for me. I'm not that kind of person for the most part, but I'm actually enjoying it. It's starting to get a bit of an online presence, and it's really neat. So I take a few of those triangle chipboards, and I make them a part of the background paper. And I really like that because they kind of blend in and then they kind of don't. That's me testing my white pen on the paint to make sure it works, because I want to do a little bit of journaling and I want to do it in white on the acrylic paint, because of course it's a nice matte acrylic paint, almost like a chalk paint. It isn't chalk paint, it's just cheap, as I used to call it, toll paint, for when I used to toll paint. So cheap acrylic craft paint. I'm just taking a few little label stickers, little things that say this and remembered, and sticking them around. I really do want to keep this almost a minimal layout. Really let the paper and the picture shine, and the starkness of that black. Grabbing, I swear, I think that's like Market Street stuff, and there's some old Maggie Holmes. I cannot remember the collection, but it's way before Shine and Confetti. So older stuff that I got in older kits that I still haven't used. That one there, it had deer and rabbits on it, and I loved it, but it's very girly. So, I'm only scrapbooking one girl and then several boys. So I don't use it as much. I don't mind using girl stuff on boy layouts. I do it all the time, but some of it's so girly that there's just no way I would use it because it doesn't combine well with the papers I'm using. I take those little flags, I believe they're from the Maggie Holmes Shine chipboard, and I want something up in that corner to help with the white space, but I don't want the flags. I didn't like them. So I bought those at HomeSense, and I'm struggle so much with getting them out. Oh, it makes me so mad. I can't figure out how to clip it right to still make it look like a camera. And it's bugging me. It takes forever for me to figure it out. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, do I have it? Yeah, oh, there, I got it that time. So I love cameras. I love camera motifs. I'm a big picture taker. I take pretty much all the family pictures, so it's hard for me to get in them, but I love setting up a little photo shoot with my family. I usually do one at Christmas, and I do one at Valentine's Day and Halloween fall. Like, we go to a pumpkin patch every year, and I always bring my camera and have them sit for me and pose and whatnot, and those are the pictures that I give people as presents if I'm going to give pictures. I don't want to do ink splotches because I've already got that big swatch of black. So I grabbed these enamel darts from the Carpe Diem line. And the colors match really well because there's so many colors in that background paper. So no, I didn't want it there. I was trying to do a cluster of 3, but I don't end up doing a cluster of 3 different spots with enamel dots. I just kind of splotch them everywhere and use all 5 colors in each little spot. And I'm going to end up doing my journaling And then when you see the picture on the top, I found that there was too much black space, and so I ended up putting a little row of hearts and doodling around the edges before I finish up. But that's pretty much everything done here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate all the new subscribers.